Okay. We are very, very privileged today. We have one of Pittsburgh's finer plein air painters. Bill Pfahl has been a fixture in the plein air genre for quite a while, and he has all sorts of wonderful techniques to share with us today. So thank you all for braving the weather and coming out. And I'm not going to take up too much time because I know you want to get started. So take it away, Bill.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks for having me again. This is my second time, as James was reminding me, at West Hills Art League, or Lance Maloney also reminded me. So I think I painted Diane Bauman a sketch of her. It was inside, so you didn't have to sit in the cold. But I gave you these sheets, and to get started, it's basically plein air. One plein air artist is usually similar to another. You notice Kim said, "You're one of the finest plein air artists in Pittsburgh," and I agree. So there are many, many fine painters here. And you're one of them today, because you're going to be creating something and enjoying it, and that's a similar experience that I have. So my teacher says life is short, and so it's like ice cream. You get a nice thing of ice cream, eat it right away, because it's not going to last. So just enjoy the day, enjoy your time, whatever it takes to do that. So I start out with a viewfinder. This is called a view catcher, and it's about $12 in the stores. I really, need it. I start out by marking the X and Y axis. It's on this sheet as well. So that's the thing, that's the viewfinder in the middle. That's me painting on Mount Washington. And I will take, and just by eyesight, I'll find the X and Y axis on here. And so something like that, which will all disappear after you start painting. And if you tilt your head, it's always a good idea to use a mirror or tilt your head when you're doing painting to see where things are. You can kind of tell if things feel balanced and feel correct. I used to use a straight edge when I painted straight lines, and now I don't anymore. My friend Ron Donahue, who's also a very good painter, as I'm sure you have heard, used to laugh at that. So, but I don't do it, and this helps. This helps me to find I'm looking at that little group of trees, and I really like these little trees. It reminds me of Van Gogh's, his orchard pictures down here. And there's so many nice things you guys are going to find. I'm sure we'll all find something beautiful here to paint. So I'm just going to quickly compose that, and I use burnt sienna, ultramarine blue, and white as a starter sometimes. Not always, but I'm going to do it today. If you put the burnt sienna and the ultramarine blue together, burnt sienna is orange and ultramarine blue is blue, and those are opposite colors. What makes them opposite is that the blue, which is a primary color, has its opposite as red and yellow. All three primaries make that a, opposite color. So I think it's also called complementary color. So, and they make a dark. The three primaries together make your darkest dark. And sure enough, this dark orange makes this darkest dark. And before I go on, there's this book that Patrick Lee, a very good painter in Pittsburgh, told me about. It's How to See Color and Paint It. And he breaks down colors into color spots. So that's what I'm going to do in a minute. I'm going to break down and find colors. And on this little viewfinder are two little color spot holes. And you can put one at the sky and one at the, and compare, one at the grass and compare the values. So each color spot has a hue or the color. It has a value or the lightness and darkness of that color. And then it has intensity. So those are the three attributes. And what he asks his students to do is to find that. And he's always talking about atmospheric perspective. If you look at something far away and you think, and you stare at it, it's going to increase in all of its attributes, including color. So what this does is it really kind of brings you back to earth, and you realize how faded it is and how gray it is. And one of the things that Ron taught me is to use this Portland gray, which is a medium gray that they make, Gamblin makes. And it helps with mixing all the colors and cutting down the intensity of the colors when you're doing an outdoor painting. I just did this painting yesterday, and I was in, yeah, so this is, I'll go to the front. This is a painting of the Oakmont Allegheny River and Plum Creek coming into the Allegheny River. Not yesterday, the day before, because it rained yesterday. And I was there twice. I did a smaller one, and then I did this one. And so looking at the colors and trying to find them, it's always a difficult thing. Once you do get that relationship correct, you're actually going to be way ahead of the game, and I'll show you that in a minute. Here's another book that when I start out doing portraits or pictures from the model, this is that ultramarine, or this is that burnt sienna, and this is these are grisaille. So the beginnings of creating anything in form is done like this. This is Lee Coley White, and she teaches at Studio in Caminati, which I took a class with her. That's why I have the book. And I highly recommend both these books, How to See Color and Foundations of Classical Oil Painting by Lee Coley White. So what I'll do is, in my little sheet that I gave you, I'm going to look for my colors, and I have a sky color. I'll put that in, and just kind of, you can actually hold this up to the light and see the intensity of it next to this color spot, and that is a great help. Instead, and then instead of just guessing, it takes time to handle one of these, or to use it, to get comfortable using it. Can you guys hear me when I'm talking behind? So let's see, and then shop towels or Viva paper towels, I highly recommend them because they're soft and absorbent. I'm just going to actually first put in a quick composition using this viewfinder, and this is in relationship with this size. So this size and that size are the same. What I really like is this tree's hanging down. And this tree comes up. And you can change your composition, but to have something to start is really, it's a good thing. So I have basically an intense green in the foreground, and then there's a cool green down by this little tree right here that I like. So I'm going to just show you how when you put in 4 color spots, and they're fairly accurate, how that creates a kind of a quilt and a kind of a magic that I may not achieve it today, but it's there, and you'll start to feel like you're painting more richly, and you can actually thicken up the paint and give it a go that way as well. So I have a cool, this is a gold green by Gamblin, and then I'm going to go into a phthalo and do a coolish green for that middle part, and the gold greens for the foreground, and then we've got these beautiful, it's like a beautiful neutral color next to this, for this tree right here underhanging this, so we can get that going as well. So I'm using my viewfinder thing. I should have had these colors all mixed up, but I was talking. And
I want to see him mix them up.
yeah, I'm trying to get the so by
That's the warm one?
yeah, I'm trying to get this one right here.
Yeah.
So that's the middle one. It's actually, yeah. And then the warm one, you always have to be, everyone knows that value, you know, is the important thing, and color takes all the credit. So you do have to start out and watch your values. And it helps to do even a little bit of a value study like that grisaille before you start. I'm just doing this as a demo to just try to get my point across. So I'm going to just paint quickly as I can. There we go. I take this canvas board and coat it with black and white. I mix black and white to make a gray for my color. And I usually buy just semi-gloss acrylic white and semi-gloss acrylic black and just mix it together. So it's semi-gloss to allow the paint to move quickly and to allow you to pull off the paint. So I could actually just wipe this all off in even an hour from now. I could take and just save the canvas, and wipe it all off. But I also do, I'll show you. I take, on top of that, I take some shellac. This is a birch plywood, and it's been shellacked with the amber colored shellac, and paint directly on it. I also paint on shellac on here for the same reason, to get the colors to move quicker. They don't seep in. It's much more quick, so that's what I like. Let's see.
Does it take longer for the oils to dry when you paint on shellac?
No, I mean, everyone, if you like the technique of having the oil seep into the canvas, that's fine. I just don't like it. It takes a week for this to dry. If I put it in the house, so 5 days to a week.
What are you using as a medium, Bill, to mix?
I have this spray bottle of, it's 70% alcohol and clove oil. And the clove oil retards the paint from drying. And especially in the cold, it's difficult to use a heavy walnut oil or a heavier oil in the cold weather because it stiffens up. And this will completely let you do finer stuff and loosens the paint in a hurry. So
You spray that right on your paint you're working on? Or?
I don't know how kosher it is for long periods of time. I can spray it for what? Did you?
You spray it on your palette or on the canvas?
I can spray it on the palette at night when I don't want it to dry overnight. Spray it over top and close this up, and it'll stay dry for 3 or 4 days. So clove oil, it's easy to get at GNC. You don't want to go to GNC. Well, at any rate, they have it.
So when you say 70%, is that
You
by
mix that with alcohol.
70% alcohol
Okay, and 30% clove oil?
and clove oil, yeah, roughly.
Okay.
So everything I do is ignoring metrics. I just do it. So I make my own pastels, or had done, and that's a different ball game. But you put gum tragacanth in water, and actually Phil taught me how to do this. You put gum tragacanth in water and it gels up. You can put more in, it'll get thicker. If you put less in, same with calcium carbonate if you're making pastels. So you want to just measuring. So I didn't do well in chemistry or science or measuring and writing down lists, and so although you should know it. So back to what I supposedly do well at. And that is okay, you can already see this. Now that tree is not black, the little one. It's a beautiful shade of gray. And just to show you, that's about like that. And then there's the other stuff. And then, but we're concentrating on sections of color. And my goal is to get this thing filled in right away with sections of color that work. The more time you spend, the closer they get. And you get this incredible, like I said, like a quilt like series of colors. So just above this intense, what do you call it, acid green, the phthalo green, is a nice fade. It's going to be more faded, but it's a similar color. So I'll just go in with some of these. I added blue and orange and made this what I think a beautiful dark color. It's fun to play with your palette and to try different colors. There's the Bourne palette, and I have some black here from that, which is black, ochre, red, and white. So those 4 colors to do portraits and things like that. But so let's see. This is gonna be on my first run. I may not quite get it correct, but I'm gonna just do that. This section, and we'll forget about the trees until later. I'm gonna put this in. Try to get that in. Do you see me going like this? That helps with color. And it does help to close one eye to see the values. Color, I heard you don't close one eye, you use both eyes. But there's this section back here, it goes back. And I'm already changing my I'm changing my composition here. I don't like that there. And so I have this a little bit, I'm going to add a little bit of reddish color to this to bring it forward. And of course, these are bits of orange in here. I know I'm ADD because my wife tells me I am, and when I lose my keys over and over again, it proves it. But it's good for me because I have no qualms about going from one thing to the next on a painting. So there's no, stopping you from, when you see something you like, a color you like, put that color note in and just have fun with it. So you guys know what I'm talking about. You're all painters, so I'm preaching to the choir here. The one thing this does help me with is sky color. If you're ever uncertain about what's the highest value, let's look at the sky through that thing. And kind of pull this out if you want to get it on more correctly. And you can start to see negatives and positives happening. All right. So I'm going to use a little of that Portland gray to push back this. Push back meaning push it back visually in this one field beyond this field that's in the foreground. So this, what'd you say?
Are you mixing it in with the color, or are you adding it on top?
It's just, I'm mixing it in. So I have it here, and I'll mix it in with these other colors, and then that'll work. Okay, then we have, and I'm trying to not do linear stuff so much as color notes. And so this foreground tree, it's going to have a lot of different colors in it, but it's basically light. It's about as light as it gets there. And so the relationship of this to these colors is the same as the relationship of that sky to those colors. And that's what you're doing. And, well, that's what I do when I do plein air. I sometimes do. So it's okay. And then the trees. I thought about this. It's doing a sky that's brilliantly lit like this. What do? Do you put the trees in and then the sky? No, I think it's the sky and then the trees. And then, so I'll do the sky, and the sky's going to have warm colors, so I'll add a little bit of orange and all of that. And then I'll get to the tree, even though it's behind there. And the way I'll do that, this is so neat, watching airplanes land. Is I'm going to pull it out where the tree is. Let me get all the background colors in, having said all of that. So basically we've got a quilt-like pattern. And I tend to overdo color. That's because I like it. I also tend to overdo it when I put it online, and then I send it to my daughter, and she posts for me, and it gets too intense, and then everyone says, "Oh, I like your paintings better than your online images," and I'm like, "Yeah, okay." So color, it makes a big difference. So yeah, I love to intensify colors, and I overdo it many times. But it's fun. Wolf Kahn, the pastel artist, he just made a career out of overdoing colors, and they look great, you know, because he's just, I don't care, I'm making this entire thing bright purple, and, you know, I forget the other artist's name that I was looking at. He's taught at Penn State, a black guy, I can't remember his name, but he does the same thing, fantasy use of landscape and color. His paintings are dreamlike. He's certainly not a plein air artist, but he does incredible color work. So.
Does he have a book called Transcendence?
Yeah,
I can't remember.
Yeah, he's getting older now. He's, yeah, really good painter. I should try and remember his name. But this is how I start, and notice there's no lines or details. I'm just looking at color sections, and that's what in this book you will learn. He has you set up these very simple, actually a box with color patterns behind it. So that's a painting, and you just try and get those colors, and it's a really great exercise. And then towards the end, it looks like he does a little bit more complicated stuff. But his theory is that everything's just a color spot, like, and so, yeah. And I agree. It made me want to paint when I saw this book, and I'm so, yeah, I mean, things like that. That's just, it's thrilling. It's like, wow. It's simple, it's beautiful color, and it has so much information. It tells you what the object is with a few sections of color. He does get in a little bit more complicated in the back. So these are all color spot paintings. And he has you paint with a palette knife. Who's the lady over in Crafton?
Joyce Warren.
Yeah, Joyce Warwe Perry. She's a master at painting and at this technique. So I like that as well. So I tried it, and I did the palette knife. You use up more paint, but I did a series. I did as many of these as I could. I think it was maybe COVID time when I was in the basement doing still lifes and these things. You know, everyone remembers sitting at home. That's a good thing. We all had to sit at home and do work. So that was a good thing for me.
Is that by Arthur Stern?
Yeah, Arthur Stern. Yeah.
On Amazon, $28.
Is it 20? 20 bucks?
$28.95 for paperback.
Okay.
For hardcover.
Yeah. Well, I think it's worth it, and good painter. So, are we gonna paint? You guys ready? All right. Does anyone have any questions about this? Do you want me to continue, or I could? I thought maybe.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Talking about shellac. Do you put the shellac over a gesso board when it always has gesso over it?
Yes. I put it over the gesso.
Gesso the board first then.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So
the shellac is not thinned out. It's just right.
straight, and use alcohol, the strongest you can find for cleaning your brush, or ammonia if you prefer ammonia. Some people, my wife won't let me have it in the house, but now they're actually running engines on ammonia. In Japan, Toyota is made an engine. It's an internal combustion engine, and it has like 10% of, you know, the amount of pollutants that gas does, or less than that. You know, hardly any pollution. So, and ammonia is hydrogen and something else, I forget. So it's all chemicals, but that'll clean your brush from the shellac. And shellac, I also take pumice powder, and I use, you can get pumice powder online. So this is a gator board panel that I coated. I may have coated it with just latex paint and pumice powder. And the pumice powder used to be used by carpenters to do refinishing, and now you have to get it online. It's actually still called rubbing powder. Bondex makes it. It comes in different grades, so you'll get rougher or smoother, or you can just go buy your board. So what's a good board for yeah, Diane, for pastel? What's it called?
A lot of people use UART.
Yeah, UART. You can make your own though, and this is the, you can throw the pumice in here, and I just dump it in and mix it up until my, I do have samples of the, you can, what's good about shellac is that you can get it, you can use it on the finest paper. This is Hahnemühle Ang, which is pastel paper that Martin Campos told me about. online. I asked him. And it's a beautiful paper. You don't really need to put shellac and pumice on it, but I love the aggressive surface. And this is Hahnemühle Ang. It's HANNEMUHL-INGRE. Ang is the painter from France, Ang, or one of them. Here's watercolor paper that I painted with gray acrylic paint, and then I put the shellac over top of it. Actually, last night I did that to see what would happen.
Are you saying you do that and then you oil paint on top of it?
This I use pastels, and this is a pastel done at the museum in their front, in the front of the museum. And so this was this past summer, and I did a series at the museum. I actually got one of them into the Greater Latrobe School District Gala, which I really was excited. I want to see if I can get into that one. And then SAMA, Southwestern Pennsylvania Arts, but those were bigger oils, much bigger oils. So.
Did Latrobe buy the painting?
I'm hoping.
Oh, okay.
I'm hoping.
Yeah, they haven't voted yet.
Yeah, Elizabeth Roseborough got two. This is her second time in, and she got one. She sold one to the Greater Pittsburgh. So, yeah. Do you know Elizabeth?
Oh, yeah.
Good.
Did we pass that around?
Yeah, sure. So this is a board that I made, and it's on gator board. So I use the gator board, and I mount canvas on it to do these boards as well, for the larger ones that I make.
That's oil.
So I don't have to stretch things, and also it saves space. I have a little basement studio, and I refuse to go rent something, and it's just I'm very thrifty, so it saves space. So that's oil on canvas on board, and until you have to get them framed, and then you have to get them framed. So then I use the frames over again. So what I'm doing now with this painting is I'm just going to go over the different sections. If I'm lucky, I have them correct in terms of their value, and then the details can happen, and I don't want to change the values, but I just want to enhance what I see. So that's pure white right there, and that's a good thing to have, because basically in a low light situation you're going to have some pure white in there. And I'm just going to keep going back over in stages. This is the first stage, it's done, and then I'll find I'll look at what's interesting out there and try and put it in. I'm always drawn to the linear. I started out, many people will say this, I can draw, but I get scared of color. And that's true with everyone starting out. Yeah.
You said you just painted that at the beginning of this week, that painting there?
This painting I painted the day before yesterday, yeah.
And you put shellac in it already?
No, I don't shellac it after it's painted. I shellac it so that the surface is glossy.
You shellac it before you painted?
Yeah.
I was wondering how you were holding it.
Yeah, no.
How come it's dry? How to dry
Yeah.
it?
Oh, it's not dry.
It doesn't dry that fast.
No, it's still wet, see? So I put the paintings in the back of my car, especially on a sunny day. I put them in the, because I had a 23-year-old Toyota, so it was a good place to dry paintings in a day or two. Again, probably not the best way to do it, but all right. Yeah, very hot. And so again, I'm looking now at drawing. I see that tree and I'm like very attracted to it, so I'm just going to put it in. And this series, there's not enough difference between this and that, so I'm going to work on that next, I think, and get the warmth of that section onto the painting. But I can use a spot screen, and sometimes it's difficult. So I see in the distance there are two colors in that tree at the very end. One's a cool color and it's dark, and one's a warmish green. And they're both faded. So it's hard to find those colors so that they sing together without overdoing them, so that they're too garish. So that's the trick in plein air. It's like, just keep your colors down, but find the colors that are cool and find the colors that are warm. And you know, oftentimes the values will be very, very similar. Like on a day like today, the values are almost the same. So just have patience with that and find the differences in what they call color temperature. And so you find the cool color, find the warm color. And
So on a day like today, the sky pretty much stays the same for hours, but if you're painting on
Yeah.
a sunny day
Yeah.
where there's shadows,
yeah.
what do you do? Like, do you like just pick a point in time and that's where you stay with the shadow or the spots of light, or like how do you deal with that? That's my biggest frustration with plein air painting is the shifting of the light.
Yeah, you do what you just said. If you do it in one day, then you must just, you know, you get the sense of, you find your color on your shadows, right? It doesn't have to be that shadow. It can be, but it has to be that color relationship. So once you found that, that's the beauty of it. You can kind of just do, you know, this is definitely not a photograph of this scene. You know, it's not an accurate thing. So, and the other thing is, what you can do is come back the next day or another similar lighting situation. If you have a large painting, there's an artist named Rackstraw Downs who was from England, but I think he lives in the US now. He's about 89 now, but he would paint 6 or 7 or 8 times at a sitting. And he would do these large detailed canvases, but all done plein air, none in the studio. And he would haul them out, you know, and set them up. And yeah, he's a good one to look at, Rackstraw Downs. But yeah, you're right. And Patrick Lee, my friend in Pittsburgh, would always say to me, if it's not worth doing all at once, it's not worth doing. You know, if you can't get it done, you know, what's the point of plein air? So there's that school of thought as well. It's like, okay, cool, you know, but that's not what Rackstraw would say. But Pat and looking at his paintings, it just, you know, he has that zing. It's like, boom, gets it out. That's what's so nice about plein air, is that it feels like you were there. You know, it does feel that way. So it's sort of like solving a puzzle, and I'm not that good at it. You know, I'm trying to be good at it. That's the thing. If you keep telling yourself, I'm really good at that, the next time you go out, you're going to get hit with a sledgehammer, because it's always challenging. And you got to get your paints right. You got to, you yeah, the light, it's like much more simple to do a still life inside. You can control your light. So, yeah, going out, it's just more fun though, to be out in nature. And yeah, so do it when you can. Just get out there. So yeah.
Blue in the sky now.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a difficult blue to
Yeah.
to make. So it's a phthalo type of a phthalo blue, and I usually add a little bit of yellow to it. See if I can come up with sort of like that. But that doesn't even cut it, but it's there. So back to this problem of the cool and warm, and you can kind of see it when you use your spot screen, and you can see the darks of that cool color, and it's best to go along the gray side until you get it right and get the values correct. So, I mean, if I did this value there, would that be correct? No. No, that wouldn't be. So it's more of a silvery, kind of coolish green. And you're always working with complementary pairs when you have your painting. So one pair will complement or cut down the other. And again, this stuff, the clove oil, does thin down the paint. So if I'm going to do something thinner, I can spray that on and get a much thinner, almost washy thing. A translucency, what's it called? A glaze. It's called a glaze in painting, right? So you can do that. I used to use walnut oil. I like the walnut oil medium because it's kind of glossy. And I just, for expedience, I just got rid of it. I just don't use that even anymore. So we had a tree right in here, but the more you spend on the background and color mixing, I think the happier I am when I do it. So I'm gonna try and just do that. And this tree is a little bit lighter than it actually looks on my painting. And if like you said, you have shadows and they change, that's all right. You can just change, it's your painting, you're going to create those shadows exactly how you want them. But it's your observation that makes it more connected to nature. That's like what you do. I have a little Van Gogh drawing in my basement that's a pen and ink drawing of, I think it's an orchard, but it's just really beautiful. This kind of reminds me of this. So now I'm gonna actually make a tree that's got leaves that come forward a little bit more. Right here. Nah. Since this is forward, and then there's a tree there. Now this tree actually goes all the way down here. Like that. And this is the color I chose for the cool darks in that far tree over there. And that's it. And this, a little too brilliant. Push that back. Mm-hmm. Well, just getting this to come forward. So I use a silly coil, which is a coiled up rung thing to help clean the brush in a hurry. So I'm just going to finish up with adding some details and get some richer colors in the foreground as I see them. And those rich greens. So well, this will take me a while longer. I don't want to get.
These look good.
Thanks.
Very good.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So that's how I paint. I draw in the composition with a line, find the sections of color and try to mix those color. I use the viewfinder or the view catcher viewfinder to get the composition, but also to look at these color spot openings, and they help, especially with the values. So, and then I use the 4 color or the color sections by Arthur Stern, and and some paintings I'll go many times to. In some paintings, I'll just do it all at once. I think I did this. Oops, I got paint on here. I'll get it later. So don't lean back.
Okay.
This, I think I did twice. I had to go down. It was at Springway down in the Strip District. So, I'm not sure I did that once. This was once. This was at Carnegie this summer, this past week or not, about a month ago. It fills. So that's a one sitting. But that's that. And all right, James, are we good? I got. Yeah. Although oil paint gets out of fleeces. Thanks, guys.
Did you just peel them? I want to look at that.
Yeah. Hi. How are you?
Good.